Not against Target, against DEI,
Yes.
but why is the Rainbow Push Coalition supporting illegal aliens if illegal aliens disproportionately affect the black community jobs?
Say that one more time.
Why is the Rainbow Push Coalition supporting illegal aliens when illegal aliens disproportionately negatively affect the black community?
Yeah, that's not true.
It is true.
Next question.
They take jobs, right? But they take your
Next
jobs.
question.
Legal.
Let me offer.
Nothing?
Thank you so much for coming out today.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Just trying to stay sucker free in a world full of lollipops. I'm seeing all the ops. Fake news, fake views. It's an illness, the cure to the sick shit. It's the pretty realist.
What's good, family? Welcome to Pretty Realist. If this is your first time joining my channel, welcome. I apologize. I had to take me a little bit of a break. It's just been so much going on. But of course, you know, I've definitely been keeping my ears to the streets and my eyes on the prize. And let me tell you, it's so much going on in the United States right now, ain't it? This is the 2025 version of the 90s riots in LA right now. We got a protest that done turned into a riot where they are throwing bricks, just messing up the whole city of LA right now. You all do know that I am a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump, and I am definitely team legal immigration. Me being a Black American, I have been bullied into being told that, hey, if I don't support it, I'm going to be sent back to Africa. This is what I've been told. I've been getting all kinds of fried chicken and watermelon threats thrown in my inbox and in my comments. It's been this is one of the reasons why I kind of needed to take a break, but I got a job to do. And I have been waiting for the news to speak about it, but of course they will not, because these corporations benefit from illegal immigration being here. But the people who don't benefit it from the most are the voices that are being silenced, and that is the Black community. Not only is it unhealthy for the economy of the United States, it's unhealthy for our communities because it hurts our communities the most. And we don't really get a chance to talk about it as much because there's very little information that we could find aside from people really saying it based on their own experience.
Working in my company. I'm a black man. I own a company. I hire a Latino. The Latino comes back and complain about the African Americans because the Latino thinks because I'm African, I don't have any relationship with the African American. The Latino comes to me and tell me that you are an immigrant. I'm an immigrant. That African American cannot work. I have Jose, I have Gonzalez, my brothers who know how to work very well. You need to fire the African Americans, and I will bring a lot of hardworking Latinos who work for your company. This is my company as a black man.
Now, I could see it in my own neighborhood, in my own city, where there are so many homeless Black people. There's a drug addiction. Of course, in my state of Indiana, which is where I live at, yes, it is a red state, but I live in a liberal city, and unemployment here is the highest for Black Americans. We also see on a countrywide scale that when it comes to Black women, unemployment has become higher for them. Now, this started in 2024, but we just got the reports out last month that unemployment in general for Black women has also become abnormally high. Why do you guys think that that is? Because I'm like, okay, is nobody else noticing that I don't see Black people doing construction like that anymore? Nobody's noticing that we don't see Black men out there working on the roof. We don't see Black men out here building houses like that. Now, yes, there are Black people who are in construction. My brother's been working in construction for years, but it is no secret that a lot of the jobs that once were held by Americans, especially Americans who did not have any type of college education, who may only have a high school diploma, who may have actually done time and they may have a felony on their background. Majority of those jobs that were once held up by individuals who had those credentials are now being held up by illegal immigrants. And it's something that I would like to talk about today. Now, of course, you do know that majority of the votes that Donald Trump got, they came from Latinos. I stand with those Latinos because these are the ones whose family actually came in did the right thing, got documented no matter how long it took them to get there. They're the ones that stand for America. They fought in our wars and they understand how important it is to stay committed to America. You could still be Mexican, but you still understand that America is first. And when it comes to illegal immigrants, I'm noticing that that's not really the case, because if it was, we wouldn't see them out burning our flags. And it's a sad thing to see because it's really like the biggest slap in the face for the immigrants who really worked hard to be a part of this country and who really have stood for it, who have fought for it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. This is in by no means putting in place to create any type of division, but it's very important that Black Americans understand that this is not our fight. We have something so much bigger that we need to be worrying about, and that is keeping our own community together because it's been divided for way too long. I actually found this on TD Media Group. Please make sure you follow them. Let's go ahead and check it out. And of course, I'll give my commentary throughout it.
A little over 20 years ago, Dr. Claude Anderson delivered one of his most iconic speeches called Powernomics, A Vision Beyond the Dream. In that speech, one of the key standout points was when Dr. Anderson laid out the potential future devastating effects that immigration, illegal and legal, would have on Black America politically if allowed to go unchecked.
The second thing is that you're going to have an unending influx of immigrants into the country. And that's what Dr. Price is talking about. And nobody, no Black politician, no Black organization wants to deal with that issue. They will avoid it at all costs, even though in their hearts they know that's one of the biggest problems for Black folk. We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4. And the worst part about it is as you descend and go down to number 4, those other groups are going to go up. And as they go past you, you're going to have major racial clashes in this country. You're going to have fights all over this country between Blacks and Hispanics, Blacks and Asians, Blacks and poor whites. And Black folk cannot fight all these groups. Everybody can not always be against Black folk. They know that we are vulnerable and we are defenseless.
That's what's going on right now. The left has done such a good job at using Black people to be the front runners for their agendas, dangling things in their faces in order to get their votes. That the last 4 years, they were doing everything in their power to let it be known, we don't need you Negroes anymore. And that's what I don't understand, why Black people can't see that. They were going to replace us, well, you guys, because I have not voted for a Democrat since Obama's first term. I had high hopes for Obama. I had a lot of faith in him, and he let me down. He let our community down. And when I saw that the first Black president to be in office was not trustworthy, I knew that I could never trust another Democrat. I watched Black Democrats tear Black communities apart. There's not a single Black community around this country ran by Democrats that is doing well. This is coming from a girl who was born in Gary, Indiana, during the time when, at one point it did become the murder capital of the world. But also, before then, it was a good city to be born in. I felt safe in my neighborhood. I lived in an all-Black neighborhood on the west side of Gary. It was a community. And I moved to East Chicago, which is right next door. And that was my first time living around Hispanics. And I had Hispanic friends. and I graduated with Hispanics, and I never had any problems with any of them. Never. This is the first time ever in my life where I've actually even heard about the racism that goes on between blacks and Hispanics. I never even knew it existed because it was just something that I didn't see growing up. So listening to him talk about that and seeing how now there's a bit of a battle between black and brown, it makes a lot of sense. Economically, we may have the most spending power in this country, but economically, we are at the bottom. We don't value family anymore. We don't value marriages anymore. We don't really value education as much. I mean, granted, yes, black women are the top when it comes to going to college and getting degrees, but I just told you that they're also the top at having unemployment. We have failed from grace in so many ways compared to 60 years ago. We're not really operating in the highest light when it comes to the minorities in this country. Asians are at the top, Indians are underneath them, then comes Hispanics. At one point, we were above Native Americans, but Native Americans have increased over Black Americans. Black people are at the bottom, and we've been in this country longer than all of those groups. Why do you think that is? Even when it comes to certain jobs, construction, remodeling, landscaping, home building. These were jobs that Black people used to hold on to. Even when it comes to farmland, they've pretty much pushed us out of farming. Why do you think that is? This is one of the reasons why I say this is not our fight. This is the time where we need to be paying attention to some shit.
And we cannot fight those groups.
Since then, everything Dr. Anderson said has been proven correct. It has recently been estimated that by 2064, only 42 years from now, Black Americans will be fourth on the population list. And by that time, the centuries-long conflict between whites and blacks in America will, on the surface, be deemed irrelevant as the non-Hispanic white population continues to shrink. And with that, a new set of hurdles will have emerged as blacks will now politically have to go through Hispanics as the rising dominant population. This was even acknowledged by Joe Biden in his leaked Zoom call meeting with so-called black civil rights leaders.
By 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
All Democrats that he's sitting here talking to, I think I can't really see the video so much, but it looks like that is Al Sharpton over in the corner. They don't even care. You think that they was going to say, no, we don't want those borders open? They didn't give a damn at all. That's how much they value Black Americans, that they didn't even stop it, that he gave them the warning right then and there for them. Hey, look, listen, I'm just letting you know, in 2040, this is what it is.
Not mentioned by Joe Biden, the same can be said for the AAPI community, as they will have surpassed the black population as well. As a matter of fact, the AAPI community is currently the fastest growing community in America, outpacing Hispanics by 11%, according to this article by PBS NewsHour titled, Asian Americans are the fastest growing group in the U.S., report finds.
See, one thing about Asians, they keep quiet. You don't see them out there protesting. If they do commit crimes, it's very quiet. They're on code. I ain't got no hate with the Asian community. Look, they on code when it comes to shit. They don't give their input on nothing unless it affects their community. And when it affects their community, they gonna all be on code. They don't have no beef online. They don't got no baby mama, baby daddy drama. You don't see none of that from the Asian community. And what they do and why they get things accomplished is they donate money handsomely to these campaigns. They are solidified in this country. They could come over here illegally and won't nobody even say nothing. They could just slide right underneath the radar. You'll never know. That's one of the reasons why Asians don't get deported as fast as everybody else because they not loud. They don't say much. They don't say anything unless it directly impacts them. And during COVID, it impacted them. And that's why they said something. And considering the fact that you got a vice president who is also half Asian, they made sure that they got them an anti-hate bill. Not black people, though. So you can see it at the bottom there. It says the Pew report, based on U.S. Census Bureau estimates, comes as Asian American communities reel from an uptick in hate-related violence, including the deadly March 16th shootings in Atlanta spurred by racist rhetoric about geographic origins of COVID-19, because they were being attacked about the whole COVID-19. And this report came out April 13, 2021. So because people were upset about COVID coming from overseas, coming from China, they nipped that in the bud ASAP. It wasn't no question about it.
61% growth among Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, and 20% growth among Black Americans. The white population only grew about 1% in that time period. Now, over the past 3 years, we've been able to get a little glimpse of what may be lying ahead of Black Americans on the political front as the political trajectory of migrants continue to rise. But before we get into that, what I'd like to do is quickly go over some of the negative effects of illegal immigration on the Black community. And to do that, I'll be playing a clip from the Center of Immigration Studies in which a member of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, Peter Kirsnow, discussed some of his findings concerning this issue.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this, and there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on Black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological spectrum. Regardless of whether or not they disagreed on discrete policy issues, each and every one of them agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on Black wage levels and employment levels. If you've got a significant influx of low-wage labor, what does it do? It depresses wage levels, correct? And what we found also was, regardless of the wage levels, illegal immigrants displaced Black workers in areas that had traditionally been populated by Black workers. And the reason for that is because what you find is Black workers, particularly Black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-wage labor market and are disproportionately likely to have no more than a high school diploma. And the same is true for the cohort of illegal aliens, and they compete with one another in areas such as construction, hospitality, service, and agriculture. This was not a small displacement either. We had one witness who testified that after he had run the numbers, he found that 40% of the decline in labor participation rates among Black workers over 3 decades was attributable to competition from illegal immigration. It comes to nearly 1 million fewer jobs for Black Americans as a result of the competition from illegal immigrants.
1 million jobs. Now, mind you, this is a while ago. This video came out some time ago. Can you imagine how many more jobs have been lost within the last 4 years? There's no way of me finding the documentation on it. There's no, I have looked high and low to see, but let's just say this. Black Americans still have the highest unemployment rate in the country. We went from lowering it when Trump was in office the first time. We've always had the highest unemployment rate in the country, always, but it was the lowest it had been in over 40 years when Trump was in office. Soon as they opened the borders, it shot right back up. It shot right back up, and it has not come down yet. Finish. I'm gonna let them finish.
And it's not just the employment levels, it's the wage levels also. And I can only give you a few examples, but we had evidence from the Fed in Atlanta, which did a study on this, to show that illegal immigrants depressed wages, the competition from illegal immigrants, depressed wages by $960 on average, But in certain sectors, such as the hospitality industry, the depression of wage levels was $1,560. And because black workers were disproportionately concentrated in those areas, they were disproportionately affected.
Now compound this with the findings that were discovered in a 2006 study which found that Latino immigrants come to the United States with negative stereotypes of black Americans. Now the name of the actual study is titled Racial Distancing in a Southern City: Latino Immigrants' Views of Black Americans. This study was published by the University of Chicago and is authored by a range of scholars and academics hailing from Duke University, University of Chicago, University of Connecticut, West Virginia University, St. Augustine College, and the University of North Carolina. But what I'll be reading from is a summary of the study, which was released by Duke University. Latinos bring negative stereotypes about black Americans to the U.S. when they immigrate and identify more with whites than blacks, according to a study of the changing political dynamics in the South. McLean said the findings are significant because the South has the largest population of blacks in the U.S. and has been defined more than other regions along the black-white divide. How Latino immigrants relate to blacks and whites and how those groups relate to Latinos has implications for the social and political dynamic of the region, she said. Given the increasing number of Latino immigrants in the South and the possibility that over time their numbers might rival or even surpass black Americans in the region, if large portions of Latino immigrants maintain negative attitudes of black Americans, where will that leave blacks, the researcher wrote? Will blacks find that they must not only make demands on whites for continued progress, but also mount a fight on another front against Latinos? In an interview, McLean added, "We are actually pretty depressed about a lot of our findings." Now, an
Shit, me too. Me too. Like I said, I grew up around Latinos. I never had no problem with them. I never got into a fight. I used to fight a lot when I was younger. I'd never had a fight with a Latino. I never had any type of beef or issue with a Latino up until my adult years, and that's just my boyfriend's baby mama. That's baby mama shit. But online, the racism that I hear from Mexicans is shocking.
You better turn your radio
So what do you
back.
think about these black lives matter that they want to be paid for being what is it, slaves and all that?
Reparations.
Yeah, there.
Are you talking about well, I heard they passed in North Carolina.
Yes.
But it was
What?
It was a small little town in North Carolina that passed reparations for whoever's over there. I'm sure they'll try to do something out here in California. I think they already actually got a little board going that they're going to start looking into it. So
Yeah, and that's when we, the Raza, need to step up, protest, and I'm talking major, and turn around and tell them, no, nobody getting reparations until the Native Americans and the Mexicans get ours first. We've been going through this crap a lot longer, so I don't want to hear it. Because it's not fair, dog. How are you going to give a bunch of money to a specific group, dog? This is the United States, a melting pot. How are you going to give it to a specific group?
because right now they've got the white people with so much guilt.
Yeah,
It was your
Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
To me, because I was like, damn, I didn't know that y'all felt this way. I would always think that, I guess it was just a fantasy. I always would think that black and Latinos would work together. But then I started noticing even when black people, when Latinos would start businesses, they would only hire other Latinos. It didn't matter if they were illegal, if they were felons, if they massacred a family overseas, it didn't matter. They only hired other Latinos. I didn't see that. You know what I mean? I was wondering, like, damn, like, how is it that we don't work together more? How is it that we don't connect with each other more? We could be in the same neighborhood, but we don't. That's something that I just never thought that I would ever have to think about, because I always just thought that we were just like this. But I guess over the last couple of years, it's been something different revealed to me.
Example of this study holding true can be seen in the state of Oregon. This article right here is from the Daily Mail, and it's titled Mexican American and Two White Business Owners Sue Oregon for Racial Discrimination After $62 million C-19 relief funds were set aside for black-owned businesses and residents. Now, what I'm going to read off to you right now is very interesting, so listen closely. Supporters of the fund argue that the $62 million accounted for 4.5% of what the state received, which left plenty for non-black residents. Further, other aspects of C-19 related funds were tailored to other racial and ethnic groups, such as a $10 million fund by the state that largely benefits undocumented Latino immigrants, and one created by Portland officials to aid a district for predominantly Asian-owned businesses. A Stanford University study found that the number of black business owners nationwide dropped by 41% from February to April amid the health crisis. The number of business owners among Latinos plunged 32%, Asians 26%, and white 17%. So what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Within this article, they're articulating to you that undocumented Latino immigrants received funds for their businesses, as well as Asian-owned businesses received funds that were specifically for them. And clearly, nobody had a problem with this until money was set aside for black-owned businesses. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to sue you and keep this money locked up in litigation so that your businesses can fail. I find that very interesting.
Me too.
Now, here's a little glimpse of what we might possibly be able to expect coming from the AAPI community moving forward into the future politically. In Washington state, a group of Chinese immigrants politically organized to successfully reject Referendum 88, which would have reinstated affirmative action. Now, if that's not bad enough, it gets even worse. And I have discussed this in a previous video on how the Proud Boys have received tens of thousands of dollars in donations from the Chinese diaspora. Brothers and sisters, really let this sit on your mind. They're not even in the country yet, and they've already picked their side. All of this, and now non-citizens have the right to vote in local elections in New York, and you better believe non-citizens voting in elections is going to spread all throughout the country. Why do you think there is such a strong push to get rid of voter ID laws now? Believe me when I tell you that the elimination of voter ID laws has nothing to do with Black Americans. Black Americans have absolutely no problem getting IDs or voting. I've already debunked that myth in a previous video. But in the midst of everything that I just laid out to you, what I find very unfortunate is that all of this is going unchecked.
Man, I'm just saying. Something's got to change. Do I have a problem with immigrants? I told you before I did not. But I stand with legal immigration. And I stand for immigrants that are going to put America first and foremost. If you ain't with that, then I ain't with you. So look, don't shoot the messenger. Only receive the message. If it's for you, receive it. If it's not, leave it. I'll see you all next time, okay?
Just trying to stay sucker free in a world full of lollipops. I'm seeing all the ops. Fake news, fake views. It's an illness, the cure to the sick shit. It's the pretty realist.